What's going on, everybody? Coming at you today with a little bit of a different style video because today we're going to be working on not fitness, my knife. So this is something I don't talk about a ton on this channel because I do try and keep it mostly fitness related. However, knives and EDC have been something that's been a part of my life forever. I have always carried a pocket knife my entire adult life. Something usually, you know, if I'm going to the office, it might just be a small multi-tool. If I'm at home, it's usually going to be something like this. Just a knife, because this thing comes in handy all the time. I have been a guy that has always had a knife, always had a lot of different knives. I went through a pretty big phase where I was purchasing very, very expensive knives, and I was purchasing a lot of them. At one point I had 4 or 5 knives that were $300 plus. And since then, I realized, one, I wasn't using those knives a lot because they were so expensive. And I didn't need that many. It was kind of the point in my life where I decided, hey, maybe I don't need so much stuff. Maybe if I can narrow it down to a few items that I really, really like and use those a lot, everything will be a lot simpler. And I've talked about it a little bit. You know, I'm not like a minimalist per se, but I do enjoy having a few high quality items that I enjoy using. So all of those super expensive knives have been sold, used for other things, and I've narrowed it down to just a few. And one of them is this. This is a Benchmade Griptilian. It's not an extremely expensive knife. It's about $110, $120. Comes in a bunch of different variations. It's one of those knives that if you know anything about knives, if you've interest in them, this is probably one of 2 or 3 knives that comes on your radar almost immediately. This has been my go-to pocket knife. Most of the time, I have another one. I've actually got the ZT, I think it's a 0630. And if I don't have this one in my pocket, or that one, I have 2 multi-tools. I've got the Leatherman Wave and the Leatherman Skeletool, which I do want to talk about in a future video because I think the Skeletool, if you're a camera person, might be your best friend. I'm a huge multi-tool fan. I love them, always have. When I turned 18, I got an orange Leatherman Wave gifted to me, and it's been in my pockets consistently since then. It's showing a lot of wear, and I really love it. And that's another reason why I like only owning a few knives, because they start to really show their use. Just take a look at this one. You can kind of see a little bit of wear on the blade. Not a ton, but it is starting to show its use over the past year because, again, I carry this and I really like that. I really like the idea of having a knife that I carry with me, and it shows it. It shows its use, and, you know, in 10 years, this thing is gonna look super beat up. The one thing I don't love about it, though, are these plastic scales. It's plastic. It's a polycarbonate plastic, and I don't like that. I love the blade shape. In the Griptilian, they've got different sizes, different blade shapes, different variations of this. Loved this blade shape with the hole. Hated plastic scales. And a few years ago, they did a G10 version, but only in gray, and they were pretty expensive compared to this one, which is about, I think I got this for $110. So I finally got around to picking up these, which are Applied Weapon Technology Benchmade aluminum scales. Take it out of the bag, got a nice little sticker here, set that aside, got my hardware. And then here we go. Aluminum scales to replace these plastic ones, because that is the #1 thing I don't like about this knife. I like almost everything else except for those scales. So in today's video, I just thought we'd sit down, drink some coffee, and talk about knives a little bit while I replace these scales. Now, I am doing this on a cutting board that I took from the kitchen because I'm dealing with a lot of small parts, and I don't really have like a a tool mat or anything. So I thought I'd just get this. Now, to do the repairs, do the fixes on this, I've got the actual Benchmade toolkit here. I've had this for years and years, and it's excellent. It comes fully kitted out with some different bits. I know I replaced one of them. I don't remember what was here, but this is a security Torx. It basically has a little dimple in it because my Leatherman tools, if I ever need to work on those, they've got the security bit in there so that way they can't be tampered with. So it's got this little quarter inch hex driver, plugs right into the top, and now you have a nice little toolkit designed specifically for knives. Now, one thing I did not do prior to this is watch any sort of videos on how to disassemble this knife. I'm really hoping I don't screw this up. I know the Griptilians can be a little tricky only because they've got a bunch of weird springs in them, but I've taken enough knives apart in the past years to where I have a rough idea of how it should go. So this spring right here, I was afraid was gonna just pop and fling off, but it doesn't seem like that's how it's set up. I just need to figure out how to get this pivot out, and I might be able to take this whole casing completely off. Okay, so what I'm doing right now might not be advisable. Proceed at your own risk. But I am basically pushing this pivot out to the other side in hopes that I can keep this entire unit together enough and put it in the new scales. We'll see how it goes. Other thing that I might do, so to try and protect the spring on one side, I'm actually gonna roughen the aluminum scale so that spring doesn't go everywhere. So let's try and take this pivot out. Before I go back with full reassembly, I am going to blue Loctite everything because I don't want this to fall apart. So I just need to separate all the screws. First two screws are in, not too tight because I want to make sure that I leave enough space for everything to be adjusted when the blade goes back in, because the last thing that I want to have happen is for this to all go back together and something be off center. And that is the problem. I was trying to put the pivot in backwards. My goodness. See, this pivot pin isn't a full circle. It's mostly a circle, and then there's a flat edge to help keep everything locked in and tight in place. And me, being dumb, I was trying to put it in incorrectly. And it moves. I gotta do a few touches to it to do some, you know, final tightening. I gotta tighten down all the screws yet. But the knife is in, it moves, we're doing well. So my camera battery is about to die. Before it does, I'm gonna install this new pocket clip. It's actually an old Lynch design, but it's for deep carry. The pocket clip that came with the original knife is just the standard Benchmade one, and it's fine, it works really well. But I had this laying around and I figured it might look cool to have a different style pocket clip on this new knife. So this is what I'll be installing in place of the original. And yeah, I'll meet you guys back when the knife is completely done. All right, everybody, it is done. And this is what it looks like up close. And I am super excited about how this turned out. I think it's gonna take a little breaking in. The closing is a little off. I don't know if it's how I have the pivot set up, but it's not quite where it was before with the original scales where it just really flowed back and forth. My initial concern on these were the texture, because even though I'm not a fan of these plastic scales, the grooves on here, the jimping, sorry, my dog. It is impossible to lose traction on these scales. But just feeling this right now, it's good. The aluminum, it's got not a texture to it, but just if you've felt aluminum before, you know it kind of has a bit of grit. So I feel very confident that this is not going anywhere. And the other reason that I'm really excited for these scales specifically, and having an aluminum frame knife with a black color, is because now it's gonna wear with the blade. As I throw it in and out of the pocket, I'm sure these aluminum scales are gonna get scuffed up. And personally, I get really excited for things like that. I like it. I like using what you own. So I know this was a super different video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I've got my workout video coming next week. Iris, that just got released yesterday. Looks pretty fun. I'm gonna have to modify it a little bit due to my workout conditions, but hit subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. And until next time, remember, we are all in progress. Have a great day.